This is a Merrick Studios podcast. This week on Unglossy.
I'm doubling down on the community now because I've learned from my experience, whenever I have an idea and I receive the most opposition, that's a great idea.
That's the word.
They're projecting their fears on me, and I got to go harder now. I got to double down on the idea because it may not work for you, but it's going to work for me.
From the top.
Go ahead.
I'm Tom Frank.
I'm Jeffrey Sledge.
And I'm Bug B. Welcome to Unglossy.
Real stories, unfiltered dialogue, and the voices moving culture beyond the gloss of hype and headlines.
So buckle up. Unglossy starts now.
Hello, fellas. How are we?
Hey.
So before we get to today's guest, Bun, we need an update, man. I feel like you have so much going on between Trillburger, the upcoming radio, and everything in between. What's new?
Well, we're getting ready to open the fourth store. That's going to be the next thing, is opening up this fourth location in April. But until then, we have 21 days of activation at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo.
The rodeo is 21 days?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize it was that
21
long.
days. Yeah, and there's
Ooh.
a concert in the football stadium every night.
Ooh.
So
Who's
you're
the
talking
big headliner
about,
this year?
Who's our big headliner?
I mean, who's not? I mean, Shabuzi, J Balvin,
Wow.
Chris Stapleton,
Wow.
Lizzo. I can't remember who the vintage rock group is. Last year was Journey. I can't remember who it is this year. But it's, the majority of the acts are country western because it is a rodeo.
Yeah.
But they do sprinkle in a lot of diversity throughout it. You know what I'm saying? So you get a pretty good mix of everything. But we're activating Trill Town. So I have 9,000 square feet of activation space that we take in. So we do burgers, we do tenders, we do a barbecue burger, some loaded fries, lemonades. We're doing soft serve ice cream this year. Got DJs coming in. So I have OG Ron C is going to come in on Saturday with DJ Candlestick. They're going to do a 4-hour set, but they're going to do at 10 p.m. They're going to do a set dedicated to Mike Watts from Swisher House. Rest in peace. And we got like a bar area, like we got beer, wine, hard seltzers, micheladas, that kind of a thing. Enough room for people to lie and dance. So we're excited. We've got a couple of different DJs coming in throughout the rodeo. So we're just trying to manage that. I got about, 24 people per shift, 2 shifts a day. Kind of
21 days.
For 21 days.
Because we're outside activated in 9,000 square feet of space, but we also do burgers inside the football stadium.
Gotcha.
So we're fully activated over the next 21 days, and I still have to staff 3 other stores in the city.
Mm-hmm.
So we're probably sitting on about 140 employees right now that we've hired specifically to cover the stores.
Yeah, we got to get down to Houston.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a business. I've been there all morning doing press and media, riding around, and we actually, Tina Knowles is actually selling her gumbo this year. So they were very adamant about trying to get inside. So I made sure to put them with the right people. And, once they realized she wanted to do something, obviously they didn't need me anymore at all. But I've had the gumbo before. It's a really good gumbo.
I'm sure she's from Louisiana.
I think she'll do very well at the rodeo.
That explains why my baby mama is so adamant about going to Houston right now. Tina knows.
See, there you go.
There you go.
But she grew up. She part of that whole clique anyway.
Do y'all know who Don's child's mother is?
No.
She's one of the original members of Destiny's Child.
Whoa. Okay, that just took a twist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Latavia.
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 Amazing.
Yeah, we got 2 kids.
Okay. Well, that's how we start off with a bang. Thomas, if you will.
Let me get this intro, because just like Bun is a visionary in so many ways, so is our guest.
Exactly.
Today on Unglossy, we're joined by a producer whose work has shaped the sound of modern music. Don Vito is an American record producer with a track record of building hits, breaking artists and turning raw ideas into records that stick. He's been in the room where pressure is high, opinions are loud, and only the best ideas survive. We're talking craft, chaos, and what it really takes to make something timeless. Don Vito, welcome to Unglossy.
Hey, that's the part where y'all supposed to clap it right there. No, it's good.
There we go. Yeah.
Happy to have you, sir.
Yeah, thank you for coming on, Don. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah,
Well,
man.
Don, we got to start from the beginning, man. So I just discovered you're from Gary, Indiana.
Yes.
How did tell us a little bit about music in your early life?
Really, I mean, music wasn't really the thing for me. It was, I liked it. You know what I'm saying? My mom used to play music and I used to steal the records and stuff. But I've always had this thing where I wanted to be the first with something. You know what I mean? So I was like, when they knew me, it would be like, man, Vito, he always got the record first. So I would crave to be at the record store to get the records early before somebody else because I wanted to be known as that person that had that record all the time. And so, I didn't really see no clear path in it because, from Gary, Indiana, being from Gary, Indiana, it's more than there's nothing there. So the biggest aspiration I had at that time was to be a DJ on Chicago radio. You know what I'm saying? That was the biggest thing. Like I thought I'd made it. I think I entertained being an actor, but when you're from, like I said, Gary, Indiana, you don't get those luxuries, so to speak. So I started DJing at hops and when I was in high school, it was sock hops, right? So the lunch breaks I would take and I would be the one that would DJ, skip school, skip classes, and DJ both sock hops. But it wasn't until rap music was really just starting to get some wheels. But it wasn't until I heard this record by this group called the Rural Class Wrecking Crew, and there was this dude named Dr. Dre. I kept
Dr.
saying,
Dre.
who is this Dr. J? And that made me like him. Like it made me want to DJ. I was like, man, I want to learn how to DJ just like this dude. So I took my mother's turntables, wired it so that I could scratch. But a fader goes up and down, left and right. I just had the knob, and I used to have to jam out the jam. That's how I used to learn my scratches. You know what I'm saying? And then I would practice Dr. Dre's scratches, and that's what I knew. And then from there, from high school, I went to the military. And that's when I saw the world. And the first place I was stationed was in California. And I remember, I didn't understand, the lay of the land. So I'm in San Diego and I'm like, hey, where Dr. Dre gonna be at? Which one of these clubs Dr. Dre gonna be at? I want to meet Dr. Dre. You know what I mean? So that was my intro into the music, so to speak. But it wasn't until I moved to Atlanta after I got out the Marine Corps. But I didn't even come here. When I got out the Marine Corps, I didn't even come here to be a producer in the music scene. Atlanta didn't have. I moved here in '90, so I didn't.
Yeah, it wasn't much music
really
scene.
Have a music scene at that point, right? It was kind of bubbling.
Wait a minute. Now we got to go back to the Marine Corps. So how many years were you in the Marine Corps?
3.5 years.
You got to have some crazy stories from that.
Oh man, what you talking about? So yeah, I moved here and moving around and stuff. And the first thing I did was, the only reason I came to Atlanta, to be honest with you, because I saw some pictures of my friends in the Marine Corps and they had these pictures of women with big asses. And I was like,
that's what led him to Atlanta.
To Atlanta. You know what I mean? And so
you're not the only one that got led to Atlanta by big asses, Don Vito. So don't feel bad.
Definitely not.
So
lots of men have lost their soul there.
So when I moved here, I didn't really, it was just like, I'm going to go to Atlanta and I'm going to be something. I don't know what I'm going to be, but I'm going to be something. Right. And so I ended up, for some reason, joining the Nation of Islam. So I used to be selling bean pies in newspapers.
Yeah, you were taking all sorts of twists.
Yeah. And so that's when I met this guy in the mosque. And he was like, yeah, man, I'm a DJ and I produce records. I was like, what is a producer? And he started explaining to me what it is. And I was like, because up until that point, I thought that the way that records was made was, say, for instance, Bun, you and Pimp was in the studio. I thought at that time that the way that a record was made was you and Pimp would be in a room and then a band would be playing to what y'all was saying. I thought that's what it was. He's like, no, it's a drum machine. I was like, really? And so he showed me the drum machine. And from that point on, I was like, oh, this is what I'm about to do. I'm about to produce. So the first person I called was Rico with Organized Noise, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm a producer now, man. I can produce." Like, man, just because you got a drum machine don't make you no producer. I was like, "But just listen to this beat, man." He's like, "Man, anybody can make a beat, man," and that crushed me. But from that point on, that drive kicked in, and I was off to the races. So then I produced like the Ghetto Mafia and local talent around here, Kilo, Ghetto Mafia,
Kilo Ali.
Yeah, people who was bubbling. And then I realized that, dang, I can get a record on the radio. So then that's when I started focusing on getting records on the radio, had a couple of local hits. And then I started working over there with Tricky Stewart over at Red Zone. Then that's when I learned about the importance of the song, right? It was this song that, because I remember one day I was in the studio, I was like, man, Tricky, you got this old MPC 3000, man. You got to get the 2000 XL, man. The beats, man. He put me to the side, and this is so embarrassing. He said, yeah, you got that 2000 XL, and yeah, my drum machine is, now it's women in the room and everything. He said, how many hits you made on that one?
Wow.
I was like, I ain't made none yet, but I'm going to make some. He said, well, talk to me. When you make a hit with that thing that's better than this thing that's making me money, and the reason you here.
Yeah. He got a whole studio.
Yeah. So that was it.
How do you get to somebody like Tricky? Like it sounds like a lot of this was done independently just through will, right? Like I'm trying to figure out, like, how does a person from the military, just a DJ, decide to become a producer, get music to Ghetto Mafia, which is not a small deal at this time. Ghetto Mafia had motion in that era. You know what I'm saying? So you had to find out how to get to them and convince them to rap to your music, and then find your way into a room like Tricky. Did you have any representation at this time? A manager, an agent, or somebody?
No representation at all. But my formula is the same, though. And as I'm older, I realize what it is. And to me, the secret to success, I just use the same thing. Like, I'm not minimizing it, but to me, I do the same thing for success, and that is find somebody who is producing or creating the result that I desire, pay them whatever they charge, and then do exactly what they tell you to do, even if it doesn't make sense. So in this case, I identified, okay, so that's how you get to Tricky. I need to get close to him, and I have to have something to offer of value. And I just do the same thing. I find the top person, and then I get to that person. Like, I don't go through I'll try the gatekeepers for a minute. But like, if I want to get to you, Bun, I would get to you. Like, I believe that, like, 100%.
I like that initiative. I like it.
How long did you work with Trick?
From I'd say about 4 or 5 years. So from over there, that's when I worked with Genuine, Soleil. That's when I started doing R&B, because at that point, I'm thinking my beats are these gangster beats, these gangster. And so Tricky came in the studio one time. He's like, man, that beat right there. We was working on this artist named Blue Cantrell. He's like, that beat right there, man, that's it. And I'm thinking, he finna put this on the game. He's like, this is going to be some R&B. I was like, what? Somebody finna sing to this? He was like, yeah. I was like, man, this dude Tricky trying to make me do R&B, man, to my gangster beats. Man, it's a, you know what I'm saying? But it ended up being a great, that's when I started understanding strong song structure. Putting things together, and I was like, so then I started getting put in the box of, he an R&B producer. You know what I'm saying? But at that same time, that's when I started learning about cameras. And so it was the same thing. And so what happened was, my cousin, rest in peace, was like, hey, man, I got these cameras. And the woman I was dating, she was telling me about this equipment. She worked at the television station, and she was telling me about the equipment and stuff. So my cousin was like, yo, I got these cameras, man. Maybe you can use them, maybe you can't. And so I went and looked at them, played with them. But I was like, if nothing else, this camera looks like I work at a news station. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this camera and I'm just going to start putting it in people's faces. So then that's how I got to work with T.I., Lil Jon, Cash Money, because I would have the camera and I would catch their attention. And, man, the camera is a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing, man. It is a powerful thing. I mean, right now it's dime a dozen, but you got to think 95.
Not back then. Back then, no.
You got this high-powered camera and you putting it in your face like that. It's like, hey, I mean, it made the I remember putting it in Baby and Manny Fresh face when they was turning everybody around. When I put that camera in their face, they said, "So, baby, what's up? This is Don Vito." He's like, "Yeah, man." So I was like, "Dang, it's the camera. It's the camera."
The camera would get them to talk.
Camera. But what happened is
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
Yeah, but what happened is I started getting established as the camera guy, right? And so then it was like, I remember one day Lil Jon called me. He's like, "Yo, man, I need you to come and I need you to film me." I was like, "Man, I'm not," because I was in the studio with Keith Murray at that point. I was like, "Man, I'm not going to no Lil Jon thing, man. They keep thinking I'm a cameraman." And the girl I was dating, I was like, "T.I., they won't even take my beats no more. Nobody takes my beats because they keep saying, 'Man, quit playing, man. You the camera guy.'" And I was used to get so frustrated because they separated me from the camera to produce
the music.
So I set the camera down, like upset. I was like, "Man, I gotta get my thing back in this music thing. Like, I gotta make a way in the music industry." So
You
that's
seem like a guy that it seems to me like nobody ever told you you couldn't do something. And if
well, I
they
think
did,
that's
you didn't
fuel.
listen.
I think that's fuel for me. I need. There's a thing in Last Dance that I can relate to Michael Jordan. Sometimes I have to create the enemy. You know what I'm saying? Like I have to create that thing to get me to be like, "Oh, Bond don't like me, huh? He think I'm garbage." Yeah, he said I'm garbage. I don't like the way he looked at me. Okay, bad. Now I'm gonna show him what it is. I need the fuel. So sometimes I'm bored because there's no competition in my mind. I'm like,
Hey, so tell me how you started how you linked up with Kandi, because I know you guys have done so many things together. Kandi Burruss, tell me how that started.
so Kandi and I. So one day I had this beat, and so what I did is I told Kandi. This is when I started working at Red Zone. She was working over there with this guy named Shakespeare, who she had did.
Yeah, Shakespeare, yeah.
Right. And so I wanted to work with her. So what I told her was, "Hey, Kandi, I got these beats that somebody interested in. If you work with me, I can make the placement." So she met with me. She was like, "Hey, I'll work with you under these conditions." She made the conditions. I was like, "All right, cool, whatever." And we agreed. And so she started coming by the studio and, writing to my songs. So one day I told her, I said, because I wanted to work with Rashida. So I told Ken, I was like, "Hey, Rashida is a big fan of yours. Man, she really want to work with you." I hadn't talked to no Rashida. I just needed Kandi on board. So I was like, "Man, she got this beat. She just need the hook." So she sent me this beat. It was really my beat. I was like, she sent me this beat. She's like, "Really, Rashida one?" I was like, "Yeah." So she wrote the hook. So then when she wrote the hook and sung it, then I called Rashida. "Hey, Rashida, Kandi really want to work with you. Matter of fact, she wrote this hook for you." She wrote
Wow.
this hook for you. I learned that from Don King. I literally learned that from Don King. I don't know if you remember when he tried to get George Foreman and Muhammad
Yeah,
Ali to fight.
and Ali the fight.
Two different things and said, "Don't say nothing because the other one don't need to know the break." I just flipped Don King. So that's how I started working with Kandi. In music, we wrote songs, and we wrote a lot of songs for Blue Cantrell. But that's when I sharpened my songwriting skill up, and then that's how I was able to take. I had records that was on the radio for local artists, but when I produced this song for this group called Cherish, called "Do It,
Yeah.
Do It, Do It, Do It,"
Yeah.
boom, and I produced their album. Then it came with Young Jock Coffee Shop. Then it came with Amari and Bow Wow, Girlfriend. Then it came back with Ciara. And then I started getting the rhythm going on. But I was still working with Kandi because at that point I put her and Rashida in the group because I was going to try to make my version of Best of Both Worlds. So it's called Peach Kandi, Kandi and Rashida. But from that,
Peach Kandi. I like that.
and
That's pretty
so
smart.
Yeah, I like that.
so from there, Kandi called me one day a couple of years later. She called me. She was like, "Hey, man, um, I know you technical. You know all the cameras and stuff. Can you just come by my spot and just see if we doing stuff? We got this show." And she named these people. And I was like, "All right, I'll just come by that." I didn't even really want to go by that. But what I've learned is it's always the things that I don't want to do that always be the blessing on the other side.
Always turn into something.
It's always when I don't want to do it. Like, you know what I'm saying? So I went to her house where her studio was set up and I saw what they was doing there. I think it was a Wednesday. It was 5 of them in front of a laptop. And I was looking, I was like, wow, look at the energy. And they were live. And I was like, oh, I can produce this. So that was Kandi Coda Night. So I took it, restructured it, formatted it, made them stick to consistency, and that's how we did. That was my first stint into podcasting and live streaming. That was like 2009. That's when I
Wow.
started podcasting. I was like, oh, and live streaming. So I was all in at that point. That's how I
Wow.
got into the podcast world.
Okay. That's interesting.
I got to ask you about the name. How did Don Vito become Don Vito?
So,
Because I got to be honest with you, I'm an Italian guy. So I think of one thing when I think of Don Vito. So I got to understand this.
the Google. You Italian, I'm Italian. I'm the N in front of it. Italian.
Italian.
Yeah. And so what happened was I had this young producer that was working under me at the time. His name right now, he used to call himself Black. And I didn't really have a name that I liked. I think I was calling myself Blast, but I was only trying to I called myself Blast because I was trying to come up with a name like Daz from that worked under Dre. So I was like, oh, he that nigga Blast. I mean, that nigga Daz. I'm gonna be that nigga Blast, right? And I hated the name, but I was just like, I hated the name. And so one day, me and this guy Chad, who was working under me, we were sitting down, and before we would work out in the studio, we would watch movies a lot. We would just sit down, we would play PlayStation, and then we would watch a movie before we got started. So one day we had been watching these gangster movies, and we were looking at Untouchables. Now I had already wanted to do something like a gangster name, so I was already I at Untouchables, and I was looking at Godfather, and I was looking at Don Vito. I mean Don King, the movie Don King, the HBO special that was Ving Rhames, right? And I kept saying, I'm gonna call myself Don King. That's what I was saying. And I kept saying, nah, I ain't gonna call myself Don King because I need something original. So one day I'm looking at Untouchables with Black, and I'm like, yo, man, I got it. I know what we're gonna do. I said, since you my right hand man, I'm gonna call myself Don Vito because that describes my personality. One that extrovert, talkative person, negotiating. That's Don King. So I took the Don from Don King. Then I said, but when I'm doing business, I'm real calculated in this. I'm taking Vito. So Don Vito. And I'm gonna make them together. I said, and then I said, because you my right hand man, we gonna call you Frank Nitty. And so that's why it's a Nitty BK. He was a producer under me that I was training. So it's a Nitty beat. He's Nitty because I named him Nitty.
Oh, you named Nitty. That's funny. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. That's funny. So, hey, I want to ask you a question. So, with Cherish, that was a big record. They got a lot of exposure. Why do you think they didn't go further? Because I thought they had a lot of potential to be like a really big group.
Yeah. So, they're going to kill me for this, but hey, it is what it is. The truth stands independent of the speaker. And so, I mean, we've been in the music industry for a long time, many moons, months of Sundays. And so a lot of times, man, artists will sabotage their own careers. You know what I mean? We've seen it. Our art, I think I call it scared of heights, right? Because the higher you get up on that ladder, the more you start doing things to sabotage your career. It don't be nobody else but you. Like Blue Cantrell did the same thing. She sabotaged her career to me. You know what I mean? And so then you got somebody like Cherish, who are super talented. Felicia Fallon, they're all, but Felicia Fallon, the twins, man, you don't want no day of them. But then you got their daddy, who's the manager, who's making these outlandish demands on the label. And it's like, but so I remember we was doing the video to Do It To It. What's Do It To It? No, the other song. And we were in LA. And so if you're familiar with how the music videos go, you get the trailer, so on and so forth. So they're there. Capital spent a lot of money on the video, the production, and so on and so forth. So they're in the trailer. And so they said, we're not coming out the trailer on the shoot now. We're not coming out the trailer until each girl get a Benz, a brand new Benz. Bring a Benz up here. Then we come.
A Benz?
Benz, for each one.
So the 4 Benzes is supposed to just
Four
drive
Benzes.
up on the
We're
block.
not even getting out the thing to shoot the video. Now the video is already set up. The director's there. Everybody's ready to shoot. We ain't coming out to y'all. It's just that. And so it's they sabotage the career. So, a label will and cut. Easy.
Yeah.
And is that what happened? It just no?
they got dropped. That second album, I mean, and I did this.
Hmm.
So I did the first thing. I did 7 songs on the first album. The second album, I did maybe 3 or 4 because they thought they could do it better. All right, well, make another hoe. So that's what happened with that.
Wow.
But I see it
Wow.
happening often in the music industry.
Oh
People will.
yeah.
I mean, shit. Diamond is self-destructive. He's self-destructive.
I worked with Diamond, so
I
I know.
remember from Teeth. Remember that's how I met you from Teeth.
Yep. 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 I
Yeah,
thought Diamond could have been a big artist, but like you said, very self-destructive.
yeah,
Britney, very self-destructive. You know.
yeah. I see it a lot, and it's
Yeah.
always the ones that at the beginning. So I'm so cautious. It's 2 people I'm cautious about in the entertainment industry, but I learned this from the music industry. The first time somebody started talking to me about how much they loved the Lord and God led them, as soon as they start talking about God and in business, like you know what I'm saying, the title started talking, call me brother and God and da da da. That person I do not trust immediately.
Mm.
Immediately. As soon as they start off with God, oh man, this is
Explain why. Explain why.
because it's been my experience that they lead with God to throw you off and to make you loosen up on the terms, loosen up on the business, but it's not. It's not. No.
Got you.
When you start talking about God, I'll be like, all that brother man God shit,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
me.
yeah. How was it working with Nelly? I know you worked with Nelly and with Ciara. Tell me about that.
Nelly was cool because he flew me in, had the single for him, went up to the radio station, he was promoting it, and Puff didn't clear the sample. He let us record it, shot the video, and he didn't clear it. He didn't clear the sample.
You know what? Probably because it was a hit.
Yeah, he was jamming. So that's what happened with that. Ciara, I've been knowing Ciara before she was Ciara. So I just come pick her up, bring her to the studio. 'Cause I was working at Red Zone, so I just come get her, bring her to the studio, and we record songs. And I remember the last song we worked on. She was in the studio because we were going to Miami for a couple of months to work with Blue Cantrell. LA has sent us to LA Reid sent Red Zone to us to Miami for 3 months to complete Blue Cantrell's second album. So I remember the night we were waiting on the tour bus to take us, me and Ciara was in the studio writing a song.
Wow, wow. Hey, one more question. I want to hear as much as you can say. Please explain the odyssey of "Tardy for the Party."
Tardy for the Party was Kandi Burruss called me one day. I was in the bar. I remember being in the bar, and she called me, and she was like, "Hey, I got this idea. I don't know if you watched The Real Housewives of Atlanta." I was like, "No, I don't watch that shit." And she's like, "There's a person named Kim on there that does so on and so forth, and she, she did this song. She tried to do it with Dallas Austin, and they made fun." I was like, "Well, I'm not going on no show. They're gonna be making fun of me, all right?" And so, um, she asked me about it, and so she started singing. She's like, I was like, "All right, well." I stepped out the bar. I was like, "Well, just tell me the idea. Just tell me the idea." So I listened to the idea. She started singing, and at that time, I was listening to. I was on that vibe anyway, so I was like, "Yeah,
Okay.
it needs to be something like this." And she was like, "Oh, okay." And so I was like, "I tell you what, I'm gonna hang up the phone, call and leave a voicemail, and sing that melody to me on the voicemail." And so she called me, she sang the melody to me, left it on the voicemail. I sampled the melody. She kept saying, "Donnie, bunny, don't be Donnie." So I broke it up, put it in Pro Tools, and then arranged the beat around that. Tardy for the Party. That's how that song.
Did you think it was gonna be?
Man, I ain't think nothing about that song. I gave that song. Here you go. I was like, I don't know if she gonna like it or not. I was like, "Here, man." And I just gave it to her. "Yeah, all right, go ahead." And then she was
It
like,
did it.
"I like the song." I was like, "What song are you talking? Tardy for the Party." I was like, "What is Tardy?" She's like, I was like, "Oh, really?" She's like, "They want you to come on TV and do it." I was like, "All right, well." I said, "Hey, look, I'm not with that fighting shit, throwing all this stuff. I don't do all that kind of stuff. That shit is sloppy. I don't get on them shows like that. She's like, no. It's gonna be you producing the song for kids. I was like, all right. And that led to that. That was successful. Then Bravo came to us and was like, hey, why don't you and Kandi do a show together? So we did a show together on Bravo called The Kandi Factory. That's what it was.
Kandi Factory. Yep.
So we did that show.
Tell me about your experience with reality TV. I mean, in general.
Hey man, it's cool. It's just repeating performances, but there's a scene on Kandi Factory when the engineer, kept trying me because he felt like he should be in my place because he felt like, well, I'm the one that's producing the vocals. You just, made the beat and arranged the song. That ain't really. I'm the one. So he didn't really like the fact that I was getting more airtime, but the show was about me, Kandi, and the stylist. You know what I'm saying? So he kept messing with me one day, and that probably was the first reality show where you saw two men fighting.
Yeah, scrapping. Yeah.
That's why I say all the time, you can't have no reality show with no men on it because the first time you pull one on start fighting, I'm gonna mess you up. Like it ain't no men finna beat each other. Bitch. Oh no, it's on.
Yeah. Some punches gonna start being thrown.
So you were on the first reality show where two guys came to blows on Bravo.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Yeah.
So tell us about your transition to podcasting. So like what made you head that path and what's your experience been so far?
So I started podcasting, like I said, with Kandi. And then, I think we did that for like 4 years consecutively, but she decided she wanted to take a break and do something else. All right, cool. So now I got to figure out something, right? Because the music industry wasn't paying what they was paying. And it went from me getting 20 to 30 grand a track to, why would I pay you that when I got what's name? They sent me a beat pack for $1,000. I was like, man, I can't save my life making no beat packs for no $1,000. I got to figure this out. So my boy started telling me about marketing, and people would always tell me I was good at marketing and sales. So then I just tried to marketing and sales. I did that for a couple of years, influencer marketing, got a couple of clients, Hardee's, Mattel, and so and just imagine in 2012. I'm telling these brands, hey, look, I got a network of these influencers at the time, and I can have them write a blog because blogging was the thing.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I can have them write a blog. They have this much reach, and they write a blog about your brand and endorse your brand. They were like, why would somebody write a blog? What is influencer marketing? And so I was like, you know what? But I do know celebrities. And I know one of the things celebrities always say is, how do I get an endorsement deal? So I was like, I'll just go to the celebrities and take the celebrities to the brands, you know what I'm saying? Because of how big a reach. But the celebrities didn't get it because they was like, wait a minute. So you want me to post on my Facebook. You want me to post on my Facebook? I was like, yeah, and they gonna pay. Nah. So that
and they didn't believe you.
They didn't believe you? I guess at the beginning.
In 2012, like, I guess.
Yeah. They didn't.
You should have had my math.
So
you should have had my number.
And so from there, Noonie, this guy named Noonie, called me. He was like, yo, man, I want you to work with Tammy, Jazzy Faye's baby mama. He's like, man, Tammy, which is Jazzy Faye's mama, and Sunshine Anderson, they want to do a podcast, man. And I know if anybody can make these podcasts, everything you did with Kandi, man, if you could do that for them, it'll work. So I met with them, talked to him for a minute. And then Noonie said, and Donald, he got a podcast, and they do this crime. I can't think of the name of it. I was like, really? And he was like, man, he making millions of dollars. I was like, oh, a podcast? This was like 2017. So I was like, damn, I could do a podcast. So I started just researching, like looking at it. And then in 2018, I decided, okay, yeah, I'm going to do the podcast. So I started producing this one show with a judge, and we was going to call it Child Support Court. That was going to be the podcast. All right. And so we started working on that. And I was able to get a what's called in entertainment. I was able to get this big time showrunner interested. Flew down to Atlanta to meet with us, and he sabotaged the deal. She gave us a contract. She's like, "Look, I'll represent you. I'll take the show to the," and then he, because he's a judge, a real judge, and a lawyer, he was like, "Nah, I'm gonna make the contract." Like so he redacted the contract so bad and shaped it. She's like, "Nah, I'm good because I already see what this is gonna be." So nah, I'm good.
So he killed the deal for you.
Yeah. And so at the time I was watching this dude online on IG who was doing all these motivational quotes named Ash Cash. And so I was looking at his quotes and stuff, and I was like, damn, I like this dude. I love to meet him. I thought he lived in New York. And so I remember we had planned to shoot an episode of a podcast on this Saturday, on the Sunday. And the guy who I was working with shoot the podcast, he's like, man, you ever heard of Earn Your Leisure? I was like, nah, I don't even know who them niggas is. What do they do? He's like, nah, man, they do this. He's like, man, they do an event. You should come. I was like, man, I don't want to come to this event, but I agreed to him that I would come. I remember the Saturday, this day specifically, because the next day is when Kobe Bryant's plane helicopter crashed.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Wow. Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sitting there, and so I'm sitting in the car out in the parking lot, debating if I'm going to go into this event. And so I kept trying to think of all the excuses I could make to not go in there. Right. And so I was like, you know what? I'm just going to go in there, show my face. I don't know none of these niggas. I'm just going to go in there and show my face, and I'm out. So as I was getting ready to go pay for the parking, I saw this dude paying for parking. I was like, damn, that looked like that Ash Cash dude. And as I got close, I was like, that is that Ash Cash dude. So I had to think quick. I was like, yo, Ash Cash, man, I'm so glad you're here, man. I've been looking for you, man. Look, I got this idea for a podcast, and I've been trying to reach you for the podcast. I ain't had no idea for no podcast. I just knew podcast was the buzzword. I was like, so I got this idea for a podcast, man. He's like, man, I'm thinking about doing a podcast. I was like, he's like, you better go on this event. I was like, yeah, man, I'm actually in his setup. I'm the one shooting the event. I wasn't shooting the event. My boy was shooting the event. Right? And so we get in there, and so when Ash Cash shows up, I stand next to my boy who's all the equipment, the camera, and I start doing like this.
Acting like you
your way through it.
I'm like, I'm talking like I'm pointing. So Ash Cash is seeing me talk. So he came, he's like, man, this you? I was like, yeah, man, you know, we just shooting a little something. You know what I'm saying? He's like, man, we definitely need to get up. So then from there, we started Inside the Boat, which is financial literacy, which was on Earn Your Leisure. And then that's when I started rolling. Then I shot Inside the Boat. Then I did the God Show with Ray Daniels. Mm-hmm. Then I did Kind of Spiritual with Dr. Darius Daniels. Then I did I Love Me More podcast with Jamila Davis. And then Bloom with April Love. But what I started seeing was it had changed. Because what happened was it went from me not being able to get guests on podcasts because they weren't familiar with what a podcast was. Mm-hmm. Now, every time you turn around, two people on the couch in front of a mic with an opinion. Mm-hmm. But it's the same thing, right? And so, I'm a firm believer that, we would talk to trade our time for money. And that's just a bad business model. You know what I'm saying? Trading your time for money, really. And so as I started learning financial literacy and digital marketing, everything started coming together for me in terms of understanding. And so it went from, like 2018, 2020, 21, it went from, hey man, Vito, how do I start a podcast? What equipment do I need? Mm-hmm. What device do I need? What platform do I need? It went from that to audience growth. Like, okay, now do I have this podcast? How do I get people to watch it? And then it went from that to it ultimately always lands on, all right, I got the equipment. I've got 12 episodes. I've got a little movement going on. How do I make money? So then that's
how
when
you monetize it. Yeah.
I make money with it. So in 2023, because it's like so many ways to make money on a podcast. And most of the time people think that making money on the podcast comes from, the views, the downloads and sponsorships. But that's not the fastest way to make money on a podcast. The fastest way to make money on a podcast and the most guaranteed way to make money on a podcast is by building a paid membership community. So let's say, for instance, you got Unglossy, right? Unglossy podcast.
Educate us. Yes.
So you got the Unglossy podcast, but I'm almost for certain that you probably don't have a call to action. And if you do have a call to action, the call to action is probably, hey, like, subscribe,
Yes.
right? But imagine if you can reshape it and reframe the conversation where you're saying you position yourself as the expert, right? So Bond is an expert in the field, Jeff is executive, and you all know something. But then you say, hey, look, if you like more information about this, click the link below and, join our paid membership community where dot. You know what I mean? So now let's look at the numbers. If you look at the numbers, right, and if on a conversion, right, in other words, your YouTube channel, your podcast should be a platform where you're leveraging your knowledge as an authority in a space so that people want more of you outside of just coming to this podcast to hear what you got to say and interview guests. You got a skill, Thomas. You got a skill, Jeff. You got a skill, Bond. But you're not selling. You're not packaging it up to make it sellable, right? It's because maybe you're thinking about a tangible thing like Bond has Trill Burgers, or you're thinking about this tangible thing, but you can sell a coaching, you can sell a mentorship program, right? And just think, if you, whatever your number is, let's just say, for instance, this podcast has just the podcast alone, not your reach on social, which is, Facebook, Instagram, or whatever those numbers are. But let's say, for instance, on your podcast, you have, I think the last time I checked, your podcast had, I can't remember the number. I saw something because when I clicked on it, it said something about Merrick Studios, Thomas Frank, but it didn't have, and then official Bun, but it didn't have something where I could see the numbers. But nonetheless, what happened? Can y'all see? Oh,
yeah, we can see you.
Yeah,
well, I'm dying to hear where you're going next with this. So keep going.
But you got to have something, because if every month you don't have a repeat customer in your business, it's really not a business, it's a promotion, because every month you got to go find a new customer. But imagine if you took, what's the numbers? What's the count on your views, just the views on this Unglossy?
So let's say it's 5,000 an episode.
Per 5,000 views, but that's a month, right? It's week. The frequency is weekly.
That's an episode. So we do four a month.
Right. So that's 20,000 a month. But the video still has life because it's available. You see it on.
It's beyond, yeah.
Right. So the thing about the podcast is it's evergreen, right? It's a different kind of thing. Like, you got to think of podcasts. It's like, it's an evergreen. The shelf life is longer than, say, running an ad on radio, traditional media, which is radio, television, blogs. I mean, well, not blogs, but, newspaper, because once that money is spent on the promotion, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Whereas the blog, I can come and people will discover this conversation with us a year from now.
Yeah.
And depending on the call for action, I can sell something right now. So the podcast is supposed to be the platform where you leverage it to sell something, whether it's Trill Burgers or whether it's a shirt, but mainly you want to sell intangible thing, right? Because a lot of times we be thinking of trading our time for money, and that's a one-on-one call. Well, it's only one of you, Jeff, and it's only one of you, Tom, right? And so if my business is set up on doing one-on-one calls, even if you did a retainer or consultant, that money is going to run out. It's like the music industry. Fees is not how you get rich in the music industry. Publishing is how you get rich in the music industry. So you think about the podcast, your paid membership is your publishing. Whereas somebody paying to run an ad or somebody running a sponsorship on your show, that's a fee, right? And then you're the middle of your audience is trusting you to say that brand X is good, right? And so you're really on the hook for the audience. You understand what I'm saying? Because you're the person, the audience is, Jeff said, this is good. So I'm going to buy it because Jeff said, but if it ain't good and Jeff, you ain't really tested it, you really kind of lose credibility with your audience. True. But the paid membership, if you got, let's say, for instance, 20,000 viewership a month, right? On average on show, right? If you did 10% of 20,000, that's 2,000, right? Mm-hmm. But a super conservative number of 20,000 would be 1%, which would be 200. So imagine if you had a community, a paid membership community, and you said, hey, look, if you want more information like this, you should join the Unglossy community. Inside of the Unglossy community, you get behind the scenes, you'll get this, you'll get resources, and it's only $77 a month. Now, what I see working is $99 a month. Some people scared because they don't believe that somebody would pay that much money, because it's like, why would somebody pay $99 a month? I don't know. Same reason people pay for Netflix and other things, right? So $99 a month. Let's just say, for instance, $99. So if you multiply $99 a month times that 1% conservative number, not your reach on your IG, your Facebook, and all those other channels, just the 20,000 on your YouTube channel. 1% of that is 200 times 99. That's $20,000 monthly recurring revenue. And that's a 6-figure business at that point.
Well, Don, that's ultimately what we're trying to do as Merrick Studio, right? We're running not only Unglossy, but we're running multiple shows across there that are all kind of have a similar vibe to them,
right?
With the goal to get people to ultimately, I think you're right, is a subscription model. Now, to me, $99 a month seems high,
yeah.
But if the Podfather says so, maybe it should be.
Here's a quick story. So this lady, I get a call in 2023.
Yeah.
Hey, you still produce podcasts? Yes. Hey, I got this client, lives in New York. She wants you to produce a podcast. Okay, great. What's her name? Give me the information. All right, we agreed. I fly to New York the week before Thanksgiving. We're having a conversation, and she's like, okay, cool. I'm happy with paying you the price, but how do I make money with this thing? So I started telling her different ways. She's like, yeah. And again, she thought it was YouTube viewers,
downloads,
Spotify, Apple downloads and stuff like that. I was like, nah, you're making money with the community. She's like, why would somebody pay me to be, I get the same thing over and over. Ray Daniels, the same thing. Why would somebody pay you $99? But you got to think about the value of your time, right? How much money would you charge for somebody, charge somebody to consult for an hour? How much would you charge? What would you charge?
I would charge probably $200 an hour.
$200 an hour, right? Okay, so 200, 800, right? $200 times 4. If you meet them once a week, that's $800, right? If they met 1 hour, 8 days a week, correct?
Yep.
But imagine if it's me and I charge $200, I'm saying, hey, look, Tom, Bun, Jeff, you don't even have to pay me for the consultant. Just join the community, and 1 hour a week we'll meet, and you can ask me any questions you want for $99 a month. $9.99, 3 months. $9.99. If in other words, the annual model is $9.99 for the year, 3 months free, because you're taking off 3 months basically, and that's the incentive of it. But people will pay you for your time. People who pay attention. And that's so true. It's the matter of you positioning it right, right? If you don't think nobody, in other words, here's what I say. The reason that you can't see, perhaps, right? The reason you can't see somebody paying you $99 a month for a community is because you don't see yourself paying $99 a month for a community.
I mean, there's probably some truth to that. Yeah.
No problem.
So where do you see this whole podcast space going? This is something I think about all the time, right? Because everybody with a microphone now has a podcast.
Yeah.
However, I still think there's a massive amount of growth to come here. Now, it might not be in a linear fashion. It might not be in the way we're looking at it now. But what do you see as you look into the future in podcasting?
I think it's going to clear out. This reminds me of the music industry when it was the Wild Wild West. After, they saw Eazy-E and Master P then being their own distributor. Everybody wanted to have their own record label, and they figured if they go to Pen and Pixel to do their artwork, that would make their record, and then it just cleared out. You know what I'm saying? Then everybody got the bug of distribution. Then that cleared out. Well, right now, that's what the podcast is about, right? You just got to purge all the people that once they realize it's work, because it's
hard work.
For the most part, it's people thinking, oh man, I can do a podcast. I seen Unglossy, man. They just sitting on the thing. I could do this, but they don't know the behind the scenes is the logistics of it is, booking the guests, getting the location, getting the thumbnails, getting the YouTube, you know what I'm saying? Coming up with the topic, coming up with the this. And then here's the other thing about
consistent,
creating all the content that's behind it. There's a lot of content.
That's the consistent.
Then the post of it is the edit, you know what I'm saying? The thumbnail, the packaging of it. And so I think podcasting in my opinion, I think the direction of podcasting is people are going to start taking it more like a media business. I think if you set it up from the beginning and take it like it's a media business, because really what you just described to me, Thomas, is you're a network. If you got other shows, you're really a podcast
Yeah, a
network.
network. Yeah. Yeah.
And so really you can sell that piece and then leverage all those channels to push people somewhere off the platform. Because right now you're on Riverside, and I'm sure most of us have on here have an IG account, a Facebook, TikTok, whatever that is. But that's rented space. That's rented media. You can't build on borrowed land. You know
I can't agree more with you right now, because that's the problem with all of these social accounts is everybody's building up these accounts that we all saw with TikTok, a year ago, that the minute they pull the plug on that, you're done. You've lost everything. You have no ownership of that property at all.
Or
So
if you,
here's how you build
violated
this.
too many times, or you think your account
Yeah.
has too many strikes, and it's also
Right,
people go,
right.
I had 200,000 followers, and I had to start again from zero. You know,
Yeah.
You have nothing you can do about it. Like once they pull the plug on you, you're done.
There's something you can do about it from this day forth, from henceforth. What you can just start thinking about is this. Okay, how do I get owned media? Well, there's really only the only real owned media is your email address.
Yeah.
That's owned. So all your people that follow you on Unglossy and your other channel, you got to figure out how to create what's called a lead magnet so that you can give them something in exchange for the email address. Because once you build up your list, then you're in control and you can tell them when and what to do. Hey, today we're going to be at the rodeo. Trillburger's going to be there. This is an email they get. Hey, if you show this email, that I give you 10% or something. Now you got this list of fans, and then you're driving them into a community, a paid membership community. And you can do something like, hey, look, inside of this paid membership community, it's $99. And here's what you get: a weekly group one-on-one call with the team. We all can alternate that. That's one thing. $99, right? You get resources. I'll bring in once a month, I'll bring in my expert guest that y'all can ask questions to. You can have, resources, courses, this, that. Like, there's so much stuff you can get inside of that community. But for some reason, we just want to be where the crowd is. But your mission should be to figure out how to drive people off that platform onto the email list so that they can come right to your community. And all those platforms should have a call to action that says, buy something. Buy this, buy that, join my community. That's your tribe, because you don't run it. See, when it's like your tribe is your community, right? And so inside of your community, the Unglossy community, you don't have to worry about filtering language. It's your people. Y'all speak the same. You know what I'm saying? They're there because they speak your language. They're there already. You know what I mean? Whereas Facebook, well, I don't know if we can post this. I don't know if we can say this and that and the third. Or whatever those channels are, because you're limited. And like you said, once they pull the plug, you're done. They can't pull the plug on your email address, and they can't pull the plug on your community. That's your right there.
I gotta say, Don, is really interesting. Just like listening you drop this knowledge. Like, we talked about your career and and your growing up and everything, but it's like when you started talking about podcasting, like your energy level went up 10. Like, I see this, like you're really into this, Not to say the other part wasn't good. The other part was dope too. But when you start talking about this, like your whole shit just like lit up even brighter,
Yeah. Because I first of all, I really enjoy it. Well, my real passion is gadgets, right? In fact, I have 2 shows, right? One show is called The Digital Don. That's unboxing and reviewing technology, right? And so
The Digital Don.
Actually, I got an episode that dropped today, 12 o'clock. I'll share the link with you guys. But that's me. Hey, what's up? This is Don Vito, a.k.a. The Digital Don. Today, I'm going to got the Ray-Ban Meta displays, and we're going to talk about if this lives up to the hype or not. Because I've been waiting for them, and they're here. You know what I'm saying? That kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
That's that. But then that's one channel. Then the Podfather that's when I'm giving you tips and tricks on how to monetize your podcast and how to leverage YouTube as the platform to monetize your podcast, mainly through a paid membership community. Everything is a community, man. It is. Your phone, AT&T is a membership subscription. Netflix.
You're right. You're absolutely right.
It's a subscription-based model. You just have to get with it. But that's the way, man. Like,
what's your recommendation for, our show now? You've been on here. we have a network, Merrick Studio. We have a number of shows that are all kind of tied into, I would say, like urban culture. What platform would you suggest we go? Is it YouTube? Is it Patreon? Is it something else?
So to me, I'm a firm believer buy the best and then work your way up to it, right? Because I'm a firm believer that I don't want to start with some stuff that hey, just use this for now, and then I'll grow it.
Yeah.
Now I start over. So the best platform to me would be Mighty Networks, and then School is what a lot of people are gravitating towards. Is not that expensive, the monthly for the platform, but School SKOOL. But then I like Mighty Networks because there's so much flexibility. I can build courses inside of Mighty
I
Networks.
know Mighty Networks well.
Yeah, and I can build, I can do my lives in there. I can do my webbies in there. There's so much flexibility that I can do inside of that community, in terms of that. Because you got to think, if you can just get the people, your whole mission should be building your list and driving traffic to your community. That's where the power is. So now what I was saying is, so now you say, hey, look, if you join the community, you get perks, discounts on so on and so forth. But then now the people, you say, hey, so if you come to the rodeo and you show that you're a member of the Unglossy community and you bring another person, right, and they join the community at $99, I'll give you 10% of that monthly. So now you just told me that, 10, let's just say 10% of 100 is $10, right? That's $10 every month because I brought in Thomas to the Unglossy community, right? So now you got $1,200 a month, right? But if I bring in two, $1,200 a year, but two people equals $2,400 a year. Three. Now I'm incentivized to bring people into the community to grow it.
I like it.
The hokey
I
thing is
like it a lot.
We'll have to
those
definitely
two
talk
things right
more.
there is the because even if you did, even if you got 10 people, let's just say 20 people inside the community at $99, well, that's $2,000 monthly recurring revenue. If you don't do nothing else, it'll offset this cost.
Yeah.
It'll damn sure offset this cost.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more.
Look, gas
All right, my
money.
last podcast related question. What's your thoughts? We're watching now in real time all of this happening. Netflix now is promoting podcasts, big and center. All these other platforms are starting to show that they're now bringing on video podcasts, just like they did documentaries, just like they did movies, just like they did television shows. How do you think that's going to impact podcasting?
I think it's going to impact it in a great way. It's going to definitely expand the reach, make more people aware of, podcasting and the importance of podcast. But don't get it. Podcasting is a platform that you leverage your authority or your skills to bring so people can pay attention to you and what you have and what you can do very well. And so you should get paid for it. How do you get paid for it? Well, because Thomas or Bond or Jeff is good at talking about stuff, they must know something else. How do I get more? How do I spend more time with them? Podcast is just your nurture platform. You know what I'm saying? Where people get
Top
to know,
of the funnel, yeah.
know, like, and trust you, and you nurture them down to your offer, which could be a coaching or a consulting or a mentorship. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, do you got to think how many people would love to know, just music industry etiquette, Jeff?
Yeah, Don, years ago, this is way back, probably around when you started, 2009 or so, maybe early. What I used to do a live Ustream show. And me and a cat named Alex, we'd get on. We wasn't making no money, but we'd get on, and people could play like one song, like maybe like 30 seconds of a song, and then we judge it. And like we did that like 3 or 4 weeks in a row, and like the amount of people that would come on, and then we had a little sidebar where people could comment on the song, they liked it or didn't like it, and the amount of people that came that we were just so young in it, we didn't know that we should actually been charging people for that, and people would every week they'd be waiting for us to come on to play their new record or whatever, So what you're saying is really resonating with me because I've seen the power of that, having that expertise and leveraging it.
Yeah.
Man, you got to think. So when I did one of my biggest that put the battery in my back was when I was telling Ray Daniel, I was like, bro, this is 2022.
Okay.
I was like, bro, when I started producing the gospel, I was like, man, really, I get it. You're going to make some money from the downloads and the views and sponsorships and all that, but you know, community is the way. And he argued me down tooth and nail. In fact, I remember
That sound like Ray arguing you down.
and I remember Wallow, he brought Wallow in from $1,000,000 worth of game. And
Mhm.
Wallow was sitting there telling me, yeah, man, community is stupid. Why would somebody pay that? And I was thinking, now mind you, we looking at the playoffs, the championship game in the playoffs, and Wallow was talking about, why you put stuff behind a paywall and membership is done. And I was thinking to myself, I'm looking at the TV, I'm like, they talking about subscriptions stupid, but we're looking at TV that they paying a subscription to. And they're paying a subscription to watch this damn game.
Yeah, to watch the
They're telling me that
game.
the community is dumb, right? And
Yeah,
so, Ray was like, nah, man. And so I was like, I'm doubling down on the community now because I've learned from my experience, whenever I have an idea and I receive the most opposition, that's a great idea.
that's the work. That's gonna work. That's
Somebody
gonna work.
starts telling me why it ain't gonna work and why I can't work, they're projecting their fears on me, and I got to go harder now. I got to double down on the idea because it may not work for you, but it's gonna work for me. But I remember telling Ray that, and so we did the music industry career, the Dreamers community, and we was doing about $5,000 a month. Oh man, this community, man, this is amazing, man. Damn, Vito.
All about the community. Yeah.
I'm just saying, like when it started working, and oh my God, this community is like Jamila. When I'm telling you about Jamila, when I went to New York and met with her, and she was opposing me about the community, and she didn't want to do it. She said the same thing. Why would people pay? So on and so forth, right? I went back to Atlanta. She called me. She said, "Okay, I'm gonna try this community thing. I'm gonna go ahead and try it." But it was reluctant, so I told her the price. We built the community out. She wanted to launch it the week before Christmas. Week before Christmas, she didn't launch the community. And I'm trying to be patient because I really need this community thing to work, because I need my proof of concepts. And so we agreed that we was going to, now we had this bet. I'm going to get a lot of people in the community. I didn't really never heard of Jamila, but I liked her drive.
Mhm.
Listen, we ended up dropping the community, Black Women Lives community, on New Year's Eve, Sunday, New Year's Eve 2024. There are 1,100 people in that community. You do the math.
That's a good community.
Wow.
1,100 times 99 is how much money a month recurring? It's about
That's a
100
lot.
monthly
We
recurring
got,
revenue. So every month you wake up, you know how much money gonna be.
Yeah.
yeah.
I think we just learned a lot here today.
We're gonna definitely talk more offline.
We are going to talk to the Podfather. We got lots of ideas. We got
Hey,
lots of
Right.
ideas.
Google, Google.
That's right. Two Italians. We can get together.
But
Man,
yeah,
I appreciate that.
the paid membership is the way, man. That and that email list, those are your weapons. That's your own media.
Yeah.
Then you do
Couldn't say it
affiliate.
better.
Listen, the first check we got from Earn Your Leisure, well, Inside the Vault, and this is after a year. I mean, we thinking, man, we had the guest on there. We thought we was about to blow up. Man, that check was like $800. I remember Ash like, man, I can't make no living off no $800, man. I can't. I just figured it out. I was like, man, I got to figure this out. What's the fastest? How do you make money with this podcast? So to me, I've been on a mission to show people how to monetize a podcast, not just, after the lights are on and, as you turn the lights off, then, you look at the real P&L and look at the real numbers. It's like, man, I'm spending money. I'm spending time on this podcast. Ain't no money coming in, this equipment. But how do I make money from this thing?
That's how.
That's the $1 million question.
Paid membership. Absolutely. 10 people at $99, $1,000 monthly recurring revenue, $12,000 annual.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
You did do that right. Don, tell everybody where they can find you, all the different places.
They can find me on IG, which is Don Vito XL, DonVitoXL. That is my Podfather channel, all things podcast and money and growth. And then if you're into technology and gadgets, then you go to I Am the Digital Don, which is my IG. And then my YouTube is Don Vito, DonVito, the Podfather. And then my YouTube is I am the digital Don. YouTube is my main channel because there's so much growth and opportunity for YouTube, right? That's why I'm starting to pivot from just saying the audio podcast more. It's use YouTube as your leveraging platform to build your media business, and you get discovered. It's repeated, like it. People are going to discover this podcast a year from now. It doesn't go anywhere, unlike IG or TikTok or those. No knock against those. Those to me are like amplifiers of the message.
Yeah,
You know what
they're
I mean?
marketing tools.
But YouTube is your base. That's your home base because you get so much data to inform you on what to do. You know, the average viewer duration, the click-through rate, because that whole key thing is a whole nother dynamic, right? YouTube is about packaging. It's how you package it. You know what I mean? And it's the click-through rate. And the click-through rate means, did the thumbnail make this happen? Did they look at the description? Does it match the thumbnail? That's a whole formula that I got. You know what I'm saying? Is the hook doing this? Is your shorts doing this? What does your thumbnail look like? Does your thumbnail, you should only really have 3 elements on your thumbnail. You know, but that's a whole other thing. But yeah, it's a whole strategy to it. It's the package.
I'm all in on Don's show. This is fascinating stuff, man. We went from music, which was very interesting, to everything there is to know about podcasts. This has been good. We're gonna be back in touch. Don't you worry.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you, Don. I really appreciate it, man.
I appreciate you all for having me.
All right. Thank you, guys. And until next time, I'm going to have to edit this. I'm going to say leave your comment or question for the show on Instagram at Unglossy Pod or YouTube at Merrick Studios and spread the word, listeners. And before you know it, we're going to be calling into action to join our community. It's coming soon.
Unglossy community.
There we go. There we go. Until next time, I'm Tom Frank.
I'm Jeffrey Sledge.
And I'm Bun B.
And I'm Don Vito. And FU San Diego. And I'm messing with you.
I love it. Unglossy is produced and distributed by Merrick Studios.